right. All right, if we could get everybody to have a seat, we'll get our program rolling. I think we got everybody from outside. Close the doors here in just a second. Number one, welcome. I'm Rick O'Connor with Florida Sea Grant and the Sea Grant team who helped put this together. We got Chantel Weber over here, Scott Jackson over there, a couple of others who are going to help us with some logistics today. Dr. Laura Two's out in the hallway and Thomas Derby's in the back. So we'd like to thank you for coming. We would also like to thank the Emerald Coast Convention Center for helping us put this on. Today for lunch, the restrooms are right outside. You've got coffee and water right out the door, and lunch will be out in the hallway during lunchtime. So you guys will know where your food is. So we'll do that. But we'd like to thank Sea Grant for that. We'd also like to thank Gray Robinson Law Firm from Tampa. They helped sponsor this program to help cover your lunches. So we appreciate that sponsorship. We appreciate the moderators and the speakers, all of you guys coming. You'll get to meet obviously all of them as we go through the program. A couple of things, handling questions. We're going to have index cards. If you haven't gotten them, we'll try to get them out. Thomas will have some in the back. Laura will have some in the back. We'll have you write down the questions. We'll bring them up for the moderators to ask. And the folks on Zoom can work with Scott in the chat room. Scott will be writing your questions down there. We'll bring them up here. The moderators will go over all those questions while time permits. And then afterwards, we'll stack them. And at the end of the program, we'll go back through these to make sure all of these questions are answered. Obviously, we want the cell phones on silent, which I got mine now. And that's why I didn't answer half the calls that you guys sent out earlier. It was on silent. The Zoom gang, again, you guys hopefully can hear everything that's going on. We can give a thumbs up. We'll let Scott know if there's an issue. But Scott's monitoring that. And again, we've already mentioned where lunches and the restrooms are. I'd like to now introduce Mike Norberg and Jessica Valick from Okaloosa County. They'll be introducing, welcome me from their neck of the woods and introducing our panel discussion.
Hello and good morning. Like Rick said, thank you for everybody that are able to attend, whether it's here in person or on Zoom. I want to take the time just to introduce myself. My name is Mike Norberg. I'm the Coastal Resource Coordinator for Destin Fort Walton Beach, which is Okaloosa County's tourism brand. We have a really unique opportunity here in Okaloosa County. You know, our team, we have a team of 3 marine biologists that fall under tourism, the Tourism Development Department, and really get our hands involved in anything and everything related to the coastal environment, anything from deploying artificial reefs to sea turtle nest monitoring and managing the no wake sign. So really everything related to the marine environment we've got our hands in. Again, wanted to welcome you guys to Destin Fort Walton Beach, Okaloosa County, and thank you for showing up. I guess we'll go ahead and kick it off. We've got a full agenda today. So we'll kick it off with introductions to the welcome panel and kind of discuss what we want to cover today and the kinds of information that we'd like to gather through this discussion. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over. We can work our way down. You guys be here to speak in the mic so the folks can.
We're going by the list, or
we can just work our way down in order and ultimately just introduce yourself and kind of an idea of what you're hoping to get out of this meeting. And we're trying to limit to just a couple minutes. That way we can kind of keep within the time frame.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks for everybody for coming out. I think this is my 3rd STEM to CERN, and in the 2.5 decades that I've been doing this job, I could not have done it had it not been for my participation in STEM to CERN conferences and being in the same room with FWC and Sea Grant and the other experts that are dealing with the. Yeah, I'm Robert Turpin. Thank you. Did I not do that? But anyway, just want to thank everybody for being here, for the folks sharing their expertise, and for the people that may be starting out their careers or just learning about these important issues that affect our waterways. So thanks, everyone.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Heinley, and I represent the Marine Industry Association of Northwest Florida, as well as the state. A little bit of backlog about myself and why I'm here. I'm a 3rd generation local boat captain and marina owner and operator over on the north side of the bay. In my day job is that, and then in my 2nd and 3rd and 4th job, I represent the state in recreational boaters. What the Marine Industries Association does as a whole is a not-for-profit that promotes and protects recreational boating throughout the state of Florida. There's a gigantic dichotomy between Northwest Florida and South Florida. So obviously there's some diplomacy that goes in there, but essentially we work directly with the legislators to make sure that there's no adverse laws passed that would affect the recreational boating. And with all you experts in this room, obviously I don't want to step out of my lane, but I believe one of our greatest natural resources in the entire state is what Florida has to offer, and that's our coastal and Gulf and Atlantic waterways. So we generally just try to protect any adverse legislation. Just some cliff notes for you of what recreational boating's impact was in the state of Florida last year. $31.3 billion with a B to the bottom line for the state of Florida, with over 110,000 jobs supported, about 7,200 businesses supported statewide. And perhaps the most notable statistics of all is that 95% of boats registered in the state are below 26 feet and smaller. And even more impressive that 61% of boat owners recreationally in the state of Florida have an annual household income of less than $75,000, which truly states that boating is accessible for just about everybody in our state. So that is why I'm here. I'm excited to see everybody and to have this dialogue. And I can't reiterate enough that the networking with people sitting in this room is probably the most important thing of all, to know who to go to and how to find the information whenever you need it disseminated. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Cecilia James. I am a code enforcement officer in Bay County. I have been a code enforcement officer for almost 20 years. However, today I'm here representing a bulk of the code enforcement officers in the Panhandle. We have an association, the Panhandle Association of Code Enforcement, that encompasses multiple municipalities, Gulf County, Liberty County, Bay County, all the way to Tallahassee, including local officers, Walton County and City of Fort Walton. Obviously, that's a lot of waterways. And I've been blessed to have worked with Scott Jackson for years, and I am constantly inundating him with questions about resources that we can educate the public about, as well as challenges that code enforcement officers do have when it comes to abandoned and derelict vessels on public property. Our public beaches that can that can cause a safety issue. We are constantly getting complaints about safety issues for these abandoned and derelict vessels, whether they be on the beach or tied to public boat ramps. So again, I'm here to get as much information as I can. Like Brian said, there is a huge amount of expertise here, obviously. So I want to get more. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Glenn Conrad. I'm with the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, actually, out of the Orange Beach, Alabama flotilla, although I live in Florida. The Coast Guard Auxiliary is about 25,000 volunteers nationwide, and our principal focus is recreational boating safety. We do vessel inspections, we do ATON verification and monitoring, ATON otherwise known as buoys. We do boating safety classes. We are trained to do marine safety inspections. First of all, our principal role is to free up the active duty Coast Guard to do the more basically dangerous roles of law enforcement and rescues. So we can do just about everything else. Auxiliary members are not law enforcement officers. So if you're ever approached by someone at a boat ramp and asked you to do a vessel inspection, we do the little vessel inspection stickers that just verify that you have all the proper safety equipment. They won't write you a ticket because we can't. But we can tell you if you're legitimate to go. And those are the kind of roles that we do. We get involved in mostly it's recreational boating safety issues. And if anyone's interested in this, please look us up, cgaux.org. On the website, and I'm glad to be here and hope we can contribute something.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pebbles Simmons. I'm with the Florida Fish and Wildlife. I am the Northwest Regional DV Specialist. I've been in this position about a year now. And basically my job is to assist the officers with their DV cases, help implement the new VTIP program that we're going to talk about later, and help get these DVs off the water. So glad to be here.
Hello and good morning. My name is Keith Clark. I'm the captain with Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, so FWC. I'm the area commander of 4 counties, and that's from Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Walton County. I have 38 officers that patrol, as well as 6 lieutenants that patrol the 4-county area. I've been on for the agency in January, it'd be 26 years. 23 years would be dedicated to these 4-county area. I talked a little bit about my agency. We have probably over 3,000 employees that work for FWC, from full-time to part-time employees. I have probably 878 sworn officers that work 67 counties from Pensacola to the Keys. We have more than just law enforcement. I want to share 5 other divisions that work for FWC. That's going to be Fish and Wildlife Resource Institute, Hunting and Game Management, Freshwater Fishery Management, Habitat and Species Conservation, Marine Fishery Management, and of course, law enforcement. Our sole responsibilities and mission as an agency is protecting natural resources and public safety. I'd like to share with you a little bit of the responsibility of law enforcement and what we do. Our officers are asked to do many things, wear many hats of responsibilities. But some of the key things that our officers focus on in reference to today's meeting will be: 1, boating accidents, to include fatalities and serious bodily injuries we investigate. We also inspect navigational hazards, obstruction to navigational channels, and then even navigational markers. We arrest impaired boat operators. We inspect anchored and moored vessels, liveaboard vessels, marine sanitation inspections. One of our main projects is derrick vessels and at-risk investigations. We've always had very strong support by the legislators that provide us the necessary funding to address these issues, because it is a very important issue for 67 counties that have these issues. So officers patrol the waterways of Florida, which include the Gulf of Mexico, the bays, bayous, lakes, and rivers, saltwater to freshwater. Our waters and state extends 9 nautical miles in the Gulf of Mexico. And state waters extend in the Atlantic 3 nautical miles. So our officers are also cross-deputized as federal officers. So we have the jurisdiction and authority to patrol federal waters and enforce federal laws. And I'll say this, probably the most important part is that FWC values our agency's partnerships with the Sheriff's Office, Pensacola Police Department, our federal partners, and County Public Works, and particularly Mr. Turpin. He and I have been working derrick vessels for over 20 years together since I started as a new officer in Escambia County. He's the most passionate advocate person, biggest voice about derrick vessels in his county. He truly has a passion and sees a big concern with environmental issues that he brings. And I'd like to conclude by saying that I have that passion for working at FWC. You can probably hear it in my voice. It has provided me a purpose to wake up every morning. It has provided me a livelihood to support my family, and all of us here are not paying a lot for what we do and how we serve. We do it because we love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. My name is Phil Horn, and good morning. I work for Florida Fish and Wildlife in our boating and waterways section, and I am the derelict vessel program administrator. We have a robust program that has only grown over the last 20 years of my working in this field. And we do, like Keith said, support the legislature and thank the legislature for their support in our efforts. They've always been wonderful when it comes to understanding the situation. It's very important to them. And it's also extremely important to our leadership, and it's one of our highest priority enforcement efforts at this time. So thanks to their budget and their understanding and support of creating and modifying law to make this more doable. We've come a long way in the last few years. So this morning, our objective is going to be to give you a brief understanding of the derelict vessel investigation process and what derelict vessels are, so that everybody understands. There's sometimes a lot of confusion as to exactly what that animal is. And we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about what FWC does to remove these vessels. And then we'll also talk about the next category of enforcement, which is our at-risk and public nuisance vessel category, that are vessels just before they become derelict. And we have new enforcement tools that are available for that. And then hopefully we'll be able to collectively answer any questions that you have on the derelict vessel program, the at-risk program, public nuisance program, and our brand new VTIP program, which is the vessel turn-in program that offers people an opportunity to get rid of their vessel before it becomes derelict, and at no cost to them. So that's so far very successful. We're doing a large marketing campaign on it now, and we'll talk about that. So thank you very much.
Okay, again, thank each of you for participating in this panel, so we get an idea of what each of the stakeholders were interested in. I went through my part pretty fast because I wanted to make sure I left you guys plenty of time, which we did. Success, it worked. But I will follow up a little bit on, as you look at the agenda. If you didn't get one, there are in the hallway. You can grab an agenda, but how this was put together and a little bit of how the agenda was put together. There was a request coming from the boating industry talking about derelict vessels. That's kind of what the target was. But as Sea Grant did a survey across the state, and we had over 500 responses to reply to this, there were other issues. We were looking at what else to talk about. So as you see the agenda, how it's laid out, these topics were actually the ones that scored the highest. There were others that scored, but they didn't score as high as this. So there are some other issues we know, but again, you're looking at boating and waterway access. We're going to have that talk in a moment. Regulation enforcement, again, the focus has been on derelict vessels. Boating safety actually was one of the highest scoring ones. So we have a session on that this afternoon after lunch. Waterway environments was another one that scored very high with the industry. And as we got these responses, we divided them up into three categories: the marine resource folks, the marine industry folks, and then the general public. These were the ones that scored the highest with the marine resource and the marine industry folks. So this is kind of the focus and target. And you'll hear later today, Dr. Anna Braswell is kind of heading up the program that we're going to do for the general boating public. So there will be a second one on that, and you'll hear more about that this afternoon. We will be doing evaluations of the program. So if you didn't get an evaluation, they're out there at the front desk as well. And then we'll be doing some wrap up on that. But at this time, we're going to go ahead. We're a little ahead of schedule, but that's not a problem, honestly. We'll introduce Mr. Tom Ankerson with the University of Florida Levin Law School, and we are going to be talking about anchoring and mooring issues. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You guys can.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Well, how are you? I'm gonna share that here.